The Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird is a long-range Mach 3 strategic reconnaissance aircraft that was operated by the United States Air Force. It was developed as a black project from the Lockheed A-12 reconnaissance aircraft in the 1960s by Lockheed and its Skunk Works division. American aerospace engineer Clarence Kelly Johnson was responsible for many of the design's innovative concepts. During the aerial reconnaissance missions, the SR-71 operated at high speed and altitudes to allow it to outrace threats. If a surface-to-air missile launch were detected, the standard evasive action was simply to accelerate and outfly the missile. The SR-71 served with the U.S. Air Force from 1967 to 1998. A total of 32 aircraft were built. 12 were lost in accidents, but none were lost to enemy action. The SR-71 has been given several nicknames, including Blackbird and Habu. Since 1976, it has held the world record for the fastest air-breathing manned aircraft. The J-58 burned JP-7, a specially formulated fuel with a very high flash point. A special chemical, triethylborane, or TEB, which explodes when exposed to air, was used to ignite the JP-7 during engine startup. The JP-7 fuel was circulated through the Blackbird in a heat sink system as a coolant for other aircraft systems. Additionally, the JP-7 was used as a hydraulic fluid to operate certain J-58 engine components, including the afterburn nozzle. Pratt & Whitney J-58. The Pratt & Whitney J-58 is one of the most unique engines ever developed, designed to operate at extreme temperatures and very high altitudes. The J-58 propelled the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird to speeds greater than Mach 3 at altitudes higher than 80,000 feet. The J-58 is constructed of a variety of exotic metals in order to withstand internal operating temperatures higher than 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. In flight, the engine's afterburner was in use nearly all the time. However, thanks to the thrust provided by its complicated engine inlet system, the SR-71 was much more fuel efficient at Mach 3 than it was at subsonic speeds. The SR-71 tires, like the ones displayed here, were infused with powdered aluminum. The addition of aluminum to the rubber gave a much higher flash point to the tires, helping it withstand the high heat caused by friction with the ground upon landing at extreme speeds. The tires were also filled with nitrogen, record set by the SR-71. The SR-71 was the world's fastest and highest flying operational manned aircraft throughout its career. On 28 July 1976, SR-71 serial number 61-7962, piloted by then Captain Robert Helt, broke the world altitude record by achieving an altitude of 85,069 feet. That's 25,929 meters. Several aircraft have exceeded this altitude in zoom climbs, but not in sustained flight. Retirement. When the SR-71 was retired in 1990, one Blackbird was flown from its birthplace at United States Air Force Plant 42 in Palmdale. From its birthplace at United States Air Force Plant 42 in Palmdale, California, to go on exhibit at what is now the Smithsonian Institute Hazy Center in Chantilly, Virginia on March 6th. Lieutenant Colonel Raymond E. Yielding and Lieutenant Colonel Joseph T. Vita piloted the SR-71 serial number 617972 on its final senior ground flight and set 4 speed records in the process. Los Angeles, California to Washington, D.C. distance 2,299 miles. Average speed 2,144 miles an hour. And an elapsed time of 64 minutes and 20 seconds. West Coast to East Coast distance 2,400 miles. Average speed 2,124 miles per hour. And elapsed time of 67 minutes and 54 seconds. Kansas City, Missouri to Washington, D.C. distance 942 miles. Average speed 2,176 miles per hour. And elapsed time of 25 minutes and 59 seconds. St. Louis, Missouri to Cincinnati, Ohio distance 311 miles. Average speed 2,189 miles per hour, and elapsed time of 8 minutes and 32 seconds. The NASA SR-71. One of the first major experiments flown in the NASA SR-71 project was a laser air data collection system. It used laser light instead of air pressure to produce airspeed and altitude reference data, such as angle of attack and side slip normality, obtained with small tubes and vanes extending into the airstream. The first of a series of flights using the SR-71 as a science camera platform for NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory was flown in March 1993. From the nose bay of the aircraft, an upward-looking ultraviolet video camera studied a variety of celestial objects in wavelengths that are blocked to ground-based astronomers.
The SR-71 was also used in a program to study ways of reducing sonic boom overpressures that are heard on the ground, much like sharp thunderclaps when an aircraft exceeds the speed of sound. Data from the sonic boom mitigation study could eventually be the altitude record by achieving an altitude of 85,000 feet. Several aircraft have exceeded this altitude in zoom climbs, but not in sustained flight. So it can fly higher than any plane. Did you know that? States Air Force Plant 42 in Palmdale. That's where Edwards is. They flew it across the country to be in a museum. Los Angeles, California to Washington, D.C. Distance 2,299 miles.
You actually
Average speed 2,144 miles per hour. And an elapsed time of 64 minutes and 20 seconds. Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. 64 minutes, 20 seconds. They literally flew.
Things you may not know about the Lockheed Martin SR-71 Blackbird. Continuous supersonic afterburner. Ever wonder what causes that diamond-shaped pattern in the SR-71 jet engine exhaust? It's due to the extra thrust provided by the afterburner, which is actually supersonic, creating successor shock waves that show up as the diamond pattern. The SR-71 engines fly continuously in afterburner, except when refueling. stand the heat. Flying more than 3 times the speed of sound generates 360 degrees Celsius, that's 600 degrees Fahrenheit, temperatures on external aircraft surfaces, which are enough to melt conventional aluminum airframes. That's why the SR-71's external skin is made of titanium alloy. The tires, which retracted into the wings during flight, also had to keep from melting as well. Aluminum was mixed in with the latex when the tires were created, and they are filled with nitrogen. Tire pressure on the SR-71 was 415 psi compared to the 32 to 35 psi in your car. SR-71 pilots have more in common with astronauts than you might think. They flew so high, 80,000 to 85,000 feet, pilots had to wear special pressurized suits that were actually modified spacesuits. The secrets in the inlets. The speed and agility of the SR-71 is largely due to the unique design of the engine inlets. To handle the dramatic changes in airspeed and pressure, air literally had to be slowed down to subsonic speeds before entering the jet engines. It's fast, really fast. How fast is the typical 747 aircraft moving when it lifts off the runway? 155 knots. That's 185 miles per hour. How fast is the average SR-71 traveling when it lifts off the runway? 210 knots. That's 242 miles per hour. The SR-71 cruised at over Mach 3. It could operate safely at a maximum speed of Mach 3.3. At an altitude more than 16 miles or 25,908 meters. Story behind the skunk. The first Lockheed aircraft factory was built adjacent to an industrial plastics plant. When the wind blew just right, a horrible odor enveloped the Lockheed factory. The story goes that one day a Lockheed engineer, Irv Culver, was so distressed by the odor, he began to answer his phone with the phrase, "Skunk works. Inside man, Culver here," in reference to the then popular comic strip, Lil Abner, in which a fictitious factory brewed a smelly concoction of ground-up skunks and old shoes known to readers as skunk oil. Over time, the phrase caught on and the name was eventually changed to Skunk Works. At the request of the comic strip copyright holder, the little skunk on the tail of the SR-71 is the official logo of the Lockheed Secret Projects factory.